These guys are one of the best duos in the EU. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If you're signed to an NA org and you're going to have to keep going to America, it might make sense to move there permanently. And I feel like it's kind of insulting to only give women 0 build tournaments. In this episode of the EU review, I want to talk about MrSavage, who is officially signed for XSET. I also want to talk about the tournaments from the last few days. We've had 2 Reload Cups as well as another round of the solo series. I want to talk about all the players that did well, including the best female pro in EU. Let's get straight into it. So let's get straight into what may be the reason why you clicked on the video, which is MrSavage joining XSET. I did predict this in my video a few days ago. We'll have to see which org he joins. If indeed he does join a new org, this might be an announcement for something completely different, but my prediction is that we will see Savage join XSET. It did feel like it was between Power and XSET is obviously the organisation that Savage chose. Now obviously this is a really big signing. XSET already have a stacked roster, people like Clicks, Faxity, Veno, Moxie, Regs, Dyer. There's a huge amount of good players on there, Muzz as well. In the past, the biggest organisations in Fortnite in terms of the content they made and the rosters they had were orgs like NRG, FaZe and TSM and Become Legends. Nowadays it's more about Gentlemates, about Havoc, about XSET, about Dignitas. These are the big orgs that are doing great stuff in the Fortnite scene. What I'm trying to say is I think it's really positive that we have organisations that are willing to invest money into making great content for the future of the game, and XSET investing in MrSavage, having him alongside Clicks, I think that's great. And who knows, maybe this move means we might be seeing MrSavage in NA Central at some point in the near future. There's nothing confirming that right now, but I mean, if you're signed to an NA org and you're going to have to keep going to America, it might make sense to move there permanently. Although don't get me wrong, I'd rather see MrSavage stay in EU. We're already losing Veno to NA Central, so we don't want to lose any more big pros, but it's definitely a possibility and it would be interesting to see him return there. So in summary, this move is good for Savage, it's good for XSET, it's good for the Fortnite community. This is really some good news in my book. Right, now let's get into the tournaments from this week. We'll start off with Friday when we had the Kim Kardashian Solo Cup. I can't believe that's a real sentence I'm having to say in this video, but that was the tournament that we had. We had Shark come out on top, coming first in it. Obviously there wasn't any prize pool, so the weighting isn't huge, but it is still interesting to see which players did well. We had Misha come in second. He's a player that had a very, very quiet 2025. Having been so good when he played with Teeny in the past. It will be quite interesting to see whether he can have some sort of a comeback in this coming year. He does come up later in the video, spoiler. So yeah, maybe he can hit form again. We also had Karama coming in third. Absolutely nobody's shocked by that. Karama always doing well in solos. No matter what the tournament is, he's always at the top end of the leaderboard. I'll put up the rest of the leaderboard on screen right now, but obviously since this was a skin cup, I'm not going to talk about it in too much depth. We did actually have one other tournament on Friday, and that was the Courage Clash. Now this tournament took place on NA Central. It featured teams made up of content creators and pros. There were 5 rounds, with having fun definitely being the focus. Round 1 was 0 builds, round 2 was a hide and seek round, round 3 was that the pro couldn't build, round 4 was Delulu, and round 5 was a normal game. We did see some EU pros play this tournament. The highest placing one was Thomas HD, who came 4th with Nate Hill. We also had Podesai and MXR come in 5th. Both of those duos actually did manage to win a game during the tournament. Now obviously the results of this tournament don't matter too much, seeing as it wasn't that competitive and there was mostly NA pros anyway, but it was 10k for the winner, so technically it's one of the biggest tournaments we've had yet, so I kind of couldn't leave it out. So fair play to Thomas HD for being the highest placing EU pro. Although I have to say I did expect Cammy to do better in this tournament. He's normally quite good at these sort of weird one-off formats that don't really get played much. He's quite good at coming up with strategies for new metas. I thought him playing with Coolneck, he'd be a guarantee for at least the top 3. Wasn't his day, unfortunately. Anyway, the Kim Kardashian Cup and the Courage Clash, probably one of the weirder days of Fortnite tournaments that I'll report on this channel. Let's move on to Saturday, where it was slightly more regular. We had the first Reload Cup of the weekend. We ended up having 4 teams win 2 games in that. They were Sky and Scroll, Alba and Skiam, Prism and Casper, and Josh75 and Zio. So going from bottom to top here, we've got Josh75 and Zio, some up and coming UK players, fair play to them. Prism and Casper, a long time duo, had a relatively quiet 2025. Obviously they made globals in 2024, neither of them able to repeat repeat that in 2025. Maybe this chapter will be the chapter that they can return to form. We'll have to wait and see. They have been doing well on high ping as well. I believe they won a game on Middle East that I reported on in my last video, so credit to them. The team I want to talk about the most though is Alba and Skiam. More specifically Alba, because she is the best female Fortnite player in the world right now. I'm a big fan of the female Fortnite scene, but it has to be said, in EU it's just not as big as it is in NA. That is due to a lack of sponsorship opportunities. In NA, obviously they have the Milk Cup series with an end of year LAN, which is huge for the prize pool, huge for getting exposure to the female side of the game, which is great. Unfortunately, in Europe, we just don't really have an equivalent to that. There are people putting on great tournaments. We've got the Snow Angel Duos Cup on the 26th of December, which is 4 games, 2 of which are on NA Central and 2 of which are on EU, which I'm quite excited for. But in general, it's hard to find good tournaments for EU female pros. But that hasn't stopped Alba though. She had a pretty good 2025, making heats a couple of times, not being able to make grand finals unfortunately, but with the rate of improvement she's showing, getting these wins in these victory cups, I think this is going to be the year we see her make a grand finals and hopefully do well in it. And it's even more impressive that Alba is considered by most to be the best female Fortnite player in the world, when she doesn't even get the chance to go to events like the Milk Cup LAN, like players like Nina, like Vader, like Moxie. They get to go, they get to play at the top female level. Alba doesn't even get to do that, and yet she is still considered to be the best. So yeah, really good to see Alba performing at the top level, and I really hope we get some EU female tournaments this season, as long as they're not zero build though, because I do think that's quite reductive for the whole female scene. Maybe that's just my take. I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments below, but in my opinion, zero build is the easier, more rudimentary game mode, and I feel like it's kind of insulting to only give women zero build tournaments. We want to see female Fortnite at its highest quality, and zero build tournaments definitely isn't the way to go about that. Anyway, well done again to Alba and Skiam, a team that I'm really excited about, and I hope they do well in 2026. We also had Sky and Scroll win 2 games. These guys are one of the best duos in EU. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Maybe on paper they don't look amazing, maybe they're not 2 of the best individual players in the EU, but the chemistry they have is basically unmatched by anyone else on the region. They are so good together. They're almost like one player, one unit. The synergy they have is ridiculous. If they stick, which I really hope they do, considering the last 2 times Sky tried to drop Scroll, it was pretty underwhelming. He dropped him for Thomas HD and then also for Marius when duos came out. As long as they stick, I think they have a shot of winning an FNCS. I think they are that good. I'm expecting them to get at least the top 5. I would imagine a top 3. I don't think a winner's off the cards. I'll say that right now. Nearer the time of FNCS, I'll do a duo tier list video where I discuss every single duo on the EU and put them on the list. I would be shocked if Sky and Scroll aren't in the top tier. They're right up there with guys like Swizzy and Pixie, Vanya and Murstache, Chap and Flixie. They are that good. A couple of other things to note about this tournament. Because we are sort of still in the off season, we are seeing some pretty random teams playing. Ping and Kiro didn't play with each other. We instead saw Kiro play with Waze, whilst Ping played with Lucia. Now, I'm not reading into this too much, as I say, because we are like 4 months away from FNCS still, so it's kind of understandable that duos might not be playing together. However, this might be one to keep an eye on, because we did see Kiro play with Waze in the subsequent Reload Cup on Sunday. So I'm not saying they've split, I'm just saying let's keep one eye on it. But if you're asking me, I think Ping and Kiro are still together. We saw other duos not play with each other either. Teeny and Shark didn't play together. Teeny played with Ortmo instead. You really can't read into these early tournaments that much. Same thing with Pix and Hari, they ended up playing together. It really is just an opportunity for some fun teams. Taking a look at the other regions, we did have some EU wins. Over on OCE, we managed to have an EU team win by using the Skybase strat. They were the Lithuanian duo of Lyodza and Rexnis. I'm probably completely butchering those names, so apologies if I am, but credit to them. They also won a game on Sunday on the NA West Reload Cup. Shows that the Skybase strategy is real, it does work. We also had Velo and Scroll win a game on West using that same strategy. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the way to be earning $200 in the Victory Cup formats. If you've never seen the strategy done before, basically the team edit their walls so they're incredibly thin, and then they're able to get to the sky limit, build up, and from the ground you actually can't see it because of the render distance, so it's impossible to know there's a team up there. So really, if you execute the skybase correctly, if the zones go your way, it's very difficult to counter. We had a couple of EU pros earn on Middle East, the most notable example being AlbaXna and iFrozy. Same thing over on NA Central. The most notable example was Demus and Hari. They have been playing together an awful lot lately. I know I said don't read too much into the duos, but maybe there's an outside chance this could be the real team. I've seen Demus playing with Hari more than he's been playing with Dom over the last few days. Does that mean something? We'll have to find out. In these Victory Cup formats, there are so many EU pros earning on the other regions, on Middle East, on NA Central and West, that I can't even put everyone into one video. So credit to all the up and coming players doing well. I do see the names on the leaderboard. I wish I could include everyone, but it's just not possible. On Saturday, we also had the Courage Icon Cup. This was a duo event, also dedicated to Courage, just like the Clash from earlier. Obviously, he does have his Icon skin coming out soon, so it's all promotion for that. Again, this is a skin cup, so let's not give it too much weighting. We did see Trucio and Focus, I hope I'm saying that name right. Trucio and Focus win the game, the Polish duo. I've seen these guys on the leaderboard a few times before. I remember Trucio qualified to the solo series finals, so fair play to them for winning. If you look down the leaderboard, you'll definitely notice that there's not a lot of top pros. This tournament was definitely an opportunity for some up and coming pros to have a good performance and secure a high finish. We also had Higgs and BloodX manage to come 8th on NA Central. Fair play to them. Now on to Sunday, where we had the second of the 2 Reload Cups. Again, we had 4 teams double win on the EU, and yes, one of those was Sky and Scroll. As I've already mentioned, what a top duo they are. I don't need to talk about them too much again. We also had Chino and Pablo Wingu win 2 games. This is a team that I'm really going to be looking out for in 2026. If you know anything at all about competitive Fortnite, then I don't even need to begin to tell you how good these guys are, how strong they are at fighting. Their firepower is insane. They were ridiculous last year with Fedoxy, and I don't think they're going to slow down anytime soon. We also had Akira and Karama win 2 games. Again, no shocks there. In the off-season on high ping, they've both been excellent. Clearly placing very highly, proving that they are some of the top controller players in the game. They're going to have a good year too. And we also had Zara and Zangi win 2 games. I've been noticing a lot of these Italian pros doing well lately. Zara and Zangi are 2 great examples. Rax as well. I definitely feel like right now it's the strongest Italian Fortnite has been in a long time. Traditionally, during about chapter 2 kind of time, Italian Fortnite wasn't as strong. Yes, we did have a lot of good pros, guys like Ayabuffo, Snagged, Steelix, Heatsy, but these days there's definitely a real wealth of Italian talent. Yet again, we had a bunch of EU teams placed on the other regions. We had Franek and Focus win on NA Central. As I always say, if you watch these videos regularly, you'll know that it's more or less the same names that I talk about in every video. These are the guys that are working hard, grinding the off season, benefiting from the Victory Cups, and in my book, they're the ones that are going to do well in 2026. Hard work always pays off. And then later on Sunday, we had the second round of the solo series. If you missed my previous video, I'll discuss the format for you now. It's 4 rounds, and only your best round is the one that counts. The top 400 players qualify to the semi-final stage, with the top 100 players qualifying for the grand finals, where of course you can earn prizing. Now, in the round 2, we had Malibuka come out on top, coming in first place. He was followed by Flixie and Sobi. Fair play to all of them. Obviously, with the format being top 400, I don't think too many top pros are going to miss out. As I mentioned in the previous video, I did hope it would be top 100, because then there's a lot more jeopardy with the qualifying. I feel like it would really come down to the last week. You'd have a lot of pros scrambling to qualify, just like it was in the previous solo series. Now, with it being top 400, it feels very forgiving. It feels like pros can get comfortable. That's not really what we want to see. But credit to the pros that did well in this round. I can see looking down the leaderboard, we've got Strokey, Noah Riley, Pixie, my player of the year, Coldy, Sky, who I've talked about a lot already, Karama, who I've also talked about a lot about already, and Cringe, who's been doing very well with Volko. I mentioned earlier on in the video that I'd come back to Misha, and that's because he came 11th in this tournament. As I said, it's been a rough year and a half for him. Maybe he's going to turn it around in 2026. Unlike last week, we didn't have an EU pro win on NA Central. That was Karama if you missed it. No, the highest placing EU pro on NA Central was Podosai, who came 17th. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video if you're enjoying this tournament recap style content. I'll be replying to every single comment, so just get one in there. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and use code SPUDSON in the Fortnite item shop. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you in the next one.